show, and I like love it. Never knew I would love it. And then we're like, eventually need to come on the show and talk about New Jersey.
Yeah, we were on his show first. And then, I'm so glad we had him on because he's so fun.
Yeah, and it caused a huge little debate on Twitter about if Central Jersey exists. So, and then everyone's like, he said no, and everyone's like, what about, Jon Stewart? Jon Stewart's from Central Jersey. And, so it was a thing.
So now I've learned that Central Jersey, I guess, exists.
Is a thing? Wow, okay.
Yeah, who knew that would be a thing I would learn on this podcast?
I guess I don't think about Jersey having regions. It's
Oh, yeah.
so small.
Yeah, I know.
It at least has two because North Jersey has basically the same dialect as New York City.
Okay, sure.
And South Jersey has basically the same dialect as Philadelphia.
All right, and then there's this part in the middle where the two meet, or
I guess.
Yeah, kind of,
There's got to be a transition, right? I guess as you move north.
Yeah, I mean,
out of the Philly dialect into,
or it could be like a stark.
It could
contrast.
be stark.
It really could with language. You never know.
You never know.
Interesting.
Well, there are linguists that know more about Jersey than we do. And that's why we have people on. So that's another thing about our topics is like we're not going to pretend to know about Black English in a way that Nicole Holiday does, or about Jersey like Lou does. We don't have any authority to talk on these topics, and we're like it would be a disservice to everyone if we pretended like we could. So that's where the jump in and learn how to interview people came in, and
so now because you've got to coordinate your schedules and set down a time to record, and you've also got a guest time to coordinate as well. How far out are you guys booking these things?
It really depends.
Yeah.
So for some people, we really need to be more on the ball and have it like further ahead. And some other people, it's just like, can we do it tomorrow?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It really depends.
Yeah.
And then there are also times where we have done so many interviews in advance that we're just like kind of like recording our intros a couple days before we release.
Yeah.
Or there are times where we're like, shit, like we need someone quick.
Sometimes we just are like, okay, well, I guess we'll talk to ourselves. Cause
Gotcha. That's I have had that panic because somehow I was doing every 2 weeks for a while, and then I had enough of a backlog of recordings that I ended up doing the weekly thing, and then now I'm like, I don't have the backlog anymore, and I'm like, okay, if I don't have a show, I'm not gonna just sit there and talk to myself for an hour. It's kind of I kind of wish that I had. I don't know. Maybe Susu could get on the mic and she can
tell us what it's like for you with you just talking to yourself.
Basically, well, she's very opinionated. This morning it was great. She's still getting used to this place, and I don't know. Cats are creatures of habit very much, and they I had just put her food out and was grinding the coffee beans, and as soon as I hit the grinder, she jumped back and stared at her food like it was coming out of the bowl, and she smacked her food. I'm like, oh no, it's not from your food. The food didn't make that noise.
Oh, I hope she doesn't not eat.
No, she went back and ate right afterwards. She reapproached it, but it was pretty adorable. I'm like, oh no, sorry, I'll wait till you're done eating and then I'll finish grinding the beans. But
I am really glad that we didn't come on a day where your poor cat was having an identity crisis. I'm glad she ate.
But yeah, she's very opinionated. She probably has some things to say.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, they so you're talking about scheduling things, but it's also, I'm glad you said it sounds like we're in the same room, because we've actually had guests where we Skype them and they're like, oh, you guys aren't in the same place? Yeah. Because then they realize that we're Skyping from two different places when we Skype them. So I'm glad to hear like someone who edits and does a podcast thinks that. And also we have guests who are like, had no idea that we're in two separate places. But, I mean, we're not that far apart. So, like, a couple times we have been in the same room when I'm in town, when I'm in Phoenix. But, 98% of the stuff has been separately.
And so you guys just each record separately and then edit the files together?
Yeah. That's why the audio sounds
good,
better.
Because you've got the,
Plus, I can cut out all the dog barking on my end.
And then I have an actual dog who his collar will make noises, or
there's a few barks in this next episode, which is with Megan's friend, that I couldn't cut out.
Yeah. Oh, and
I think they add character. You know, it's like a Tom Waits album. All the noises just stay on there.
It's true.
Well, here's another thing that I was listening actually to the cut on the way over here, and I was like, and our guest is down in Tucson with me, so I saw her that day, and I was like, shit, she's wearing dingly or bangle bracelets, and so you can kind of hear it, and I'm like, and I saw her, and I feel like I don't have the podcast instinct yet where I'm like, maybe you should take those off. So I'm like, all these things.
Those, you can hear them, but it's very faint, and it's not as annoying as the dog, my next door neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
It's, you know, for me, anytime that I am sitting with somebody and they, you know, they hit the arm, the mic arm, then I'm like, oh God, okay, that's going to be on there. And then, because there's no editing that out, really. Nope. And then anytime I do like a remote interview, if I'm interviewing somebody, like, you know, say I'm interviewing a band at who did I interview? This band called Combo Chimbita that was at the Rebel Lounge. So there's, you know, normally in here, these mics, it's great. There's just this little like foam covering on them. It picks up very little outside of the direct voice, and that's not to spend too much time yapping about gear, but the thing with these Shure mics is that there's also not a wide pickup range to it. So like if the cat's down there meowing, it never even makes it onto
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I guess we need
that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I Chris told me to buy this. It was $50. Like, what is it? The blue.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Yeti or something? What is it? No.
I think so.
It's like blue ball, and it's a ball on sticks.
You're talking about hooks being well hung. You're talking about blue ball. It's
Were you recording doing that?
No.
No. It's just I was like, okay, maybe we were in 6 months in. And I was like, I guess I'll invest because my partner actually has a ton of recording stuff, and it's just too fancy, and I was fucking up. Like trying to like record and use his mics and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to buy my own, and Chris told me what to buy. I'm going to invest $50 in this because maybe we're going to keep doing it. And luckily we have. Yeah. But maybe now that we're almost at 2 years, I'll like upgrade my stuff, you know, like,
there you go.
Who knew? We didn't know if it was going to
you never
be
know.
around still in 2 years.
No, you don't know what's going to catch people's interest. You never know who's listening really. I mean, you can, even since I started doing this 4 years ago, the metrics of things have improved a lot, and there's a lot more insight into being able to like see where people are listening and what frequency and all that kind of thing, which is great when you're trying to seek ads out and that kind of deal. Yeah. But, I mean, especially there at the beginning, it was like, am I just like throwing this stuff out there for?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe my mom's listening. I don't know.
Just throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah.
Sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we knew we'd always have material.
That's true. I knew that we would
like
have
endless material for the show.
Yeah, because almost every week somebody says something really bad about language.
Yeah.
Well, and so to that, and okay, I listened to the episode, but for people who are listening to this who haven't heard it, what is vocal fry, and how do you actually define what that is? And when you did define it on that episode, I was like, I just assumed that was how people talked. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because most people do use vocal fry, at least somewhat. Okay, so vocal fry involves, you have your vocal cords, or they're more properly called vocal folds, but we all call them cords. So they vibrate when we talk. That's your voice. And when you make your vocal cords more slack, the sound you produce becomes creakier. So if you think about, the most famous people who use it are the Kardashians, but Ira Glass uses it, Bill Clinton uses it, Benedict Cumberbatch uses it. There's lots and lots of people who use it, and it's
Jeff Bridges. I've noticed a dude here. I've noticed a lot of
Jeff Bridges. Big Lebowski fan here.
Yeah. So no, he is
He's fun.
And he is vocal frying.
He's vocal frying all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'm doing
That's Creek. Or
I just assumed that people just found it charming. I don't, but apparently not so much.
And so quaint. And I love it. And I wish that were the case.
Obviously, some people do. Yeah. Right? Some people really love it. But there's just the hate on that's been on at Vocal Fry since at least 2012. Or late 2011. Yeah.
And people have found other things to hate in the meantime, but this is not dying. This is people just hate Vocal Fry, and it's sustained over the years.
Yeah, it's been pretty constant. I mean, kind of like the hate for Uptalk has been pretty constant, and that's older. I mean, people noticing Uptalk is older. So,
what is Uptalk?
Yeah. So Uptalk is when you end a sentence it almost sounds like a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Right. Okay.
And there are a lot of reasons to use it, and
yeah, I used to use it a lot more, and then I trained myself not to use it because I knew people would judge me for it, which is unfortunate and bad, but I did.
Yeah, there are so many articles in like Fast Company or what are the other business type places,
Business Insider,
that are like, get rid of this if you want to be successful or like get a promotion or get hired. Like, don't talk with your vocal fry. And,
you know what? Those people will die anyway.
Yes.
Eventually, they'll age out.
I know, but it's a long time coming.
I know. Yeah. No, instead of being like, hey, all you people out there that hire people, don't judge people for this. Instead, it's like, hey, people that are trying to get hired, don't do this.
And it's only targeted at women.
Yeah.
Because men do it too, but nobody cares or notices. So
they think it's sexy. Like, I'm thinking about Jeff Bridges of like, and people are like that when it's men vocal frying,
Yeah. I mean, I do that all the time. It's especially, I don't know. It just seems I wouldn't know how to talk without doing it. And
exactly.
I have no idea.
And you don't have to, because
and I'm not going to.
Because unlike what many people claim, vocal fry does not hurt your vocal folds.
Yeah.
They don't. Now, what does happen is some people who damage their vocal cords can only fry. And so people have got the causality backwards. So if you hear people vocal frying, it could just be that's the way they talk, but it also could be they have damaged their cords in some past time. But it has nothing, it's not going to do it in the future.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Fry away.
Them folds are healthy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all the. I'm sure it's all the drinking that's gonna really.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're destroying your vocal folds, it's gonna be something else that's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was. I mean, I don't know. That was again. As far as developing a sort of a voice goes, I always wanted to have this kind of gravelly voice, and like all of my favorite I don't know, voices, actors, people who are known, it's like they've got a little texture to it. And then you hear about I think like Tom Waits got his voice by screaming into a pillow a lot or something like that. And
that's true.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's so I don't know. It seems I always just thought it was like character, and there's something that's kind of charming and dare I say a little sexy about it. But,
right.
Absolutely.
You're also thinking about Jeff Bridges too right now, aren't you?
Right. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Regardless of sexual preference, that is a sexy, sexy man.
It is, or he is. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes, if you're not, if you can't agree on something, you're just not being honest with yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
But. All right, back to your show though.
Yeah. Okay.
And I appreciate you explaining what that is to me. I mean, so I've always found too though that if people are too self-conscious about how they sound when they talk, it's just it only serves to make for more stilted conversation. You just don't sound like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You sound stilted and too formal. Mm-hmm. I mean, and there are some instances where sounding formal is exactly correct, but most of the time it's not going to serve you to be overly concerned with the way that you sound. Mm-hmm. And again, most of this advice is directed at women and nobody else, and so it just serves to make women more insecure.
So linguistics also does not get away without being patriarchal.